I'm here to talk about today moving to the cloud and delivering a school admissions system via Jadu. My name's James Peterson. I'm the corporate web manager at Wandsworth. Amongst other things, I'm responsible for the main website, which is wandsworth.gov.uk, which was referred to by one reviewer of our website as one of the most boring websites they'd ever reviewed. Fortunately, I'm not here to talk about our website design, but more about our experience of using managed hosting with Jadu and Rackspace, and how this has really been important for improving service delivery to our residents. I'll also be talking about an application we built with Jadu that addresses a common problem for many many councils, which is for residents to find where their child is on a school waiting list. If you don't know about Wandsworth, it's located in southwest London. Population about 310,000 in 2013. There's a real high internet uptake, as with most London boroughs, around 85%. That comes from the Oxford Internet Survey. And we average about 1.3 million page views a month, give or take the month, depending on how many days are in the month. It's that sort of thing, whether it's Christmas or something like that. We're the little red spot on that map of London there. Some things Wandsworth are famous for. We've got Battersea Park, Battersea Power Station, and recently the 9 Elms on the South Bank development, which is one of the largest developments in Europe, which is the redevelopment of Battersea Power Station into lots of high-priced, unaffordable accommodation. Moving to the cloud. When I arrived at Wandsworth in January 2010, I knew something that had happened there. They'd used this newfangled CMS called Jadu, which went live in 2009. It was running on our local infrastructure. Unfortunately, it seemed at the time the website was more up than down. What we found out over the space of a year, that we had something like 95% uptime, which reflects we lost about 16 days, something like that. It was a wee bit grim. We were seeing a lot of these sort of internal server errors. If anyone uses website monitoring, I really started to hate website monitoring at this time. The emails and the SMSs coming back, it was an absolute nightmare. So, even when we weren't firefighting, we had to spend a lot of time explaining the situation to people. It was really awful. So I said, well, wait a minute, it actually might be that we've got really crappy infrastructure. So what we took on was we asked Jadu for their experience, their thoughts on this, and they suggested that we move to the cloud and use Rackspace. We had no experience. I came from an environment where we hosted everything. This is before Office 365 and Amazon Web Services. It sort of seemed a bit of a leap to us. What we found was we talked to a few of Rackspace and Jadu customers. Rackspace were hosting for Amnesty International at that time, and everyone came back and said, yeah, it's great. It's really what we should be doing. So we kicked off the project, that completed in 3 months by June 2011. To be fair, echoing what Neil said, I ended up doing the project management for the Wandsworth side, and Jadu did the project management, obviously, from their side as well. And it seemed to work quite nicely. What we found is that I spent a lot of time explaining the benefits to people, making sure that our internal IT was on board with the change, things like that. When the two projects came together, it worked out quite well. What we did find was that through the process, that the way we'd set up, when we implemented Jadu in 2009, we really didn't actually take a look at our whole internal infrastructure. And what we're trying to do was route everything through our single domain, wandsworth.gov.uk, so instead of using subdomains. And it was a real nightmare. So say if our housing system or our planning system went down, they were actually having a real impact on wandsworth.gov.uk. So that was actually affecting sort of our uptime for the CMS. So this is where we were in 2011. Between May and June 2011, the website was down for 16 days and 22 hours. So almost 17 days we lost, where no one could do anything on our website. It's quite remarkable thinking about it now. Sorry. There's no point in doing channel shift if you don't have a website. I'm sorry. We also, at that time, we had 8.6 million unique page views. Also, just interesting for a technical side, the server response time hosting it in-house was 1.19 seconds, so it's reasonably slow. Now where we are, we have a managed hosting arrangement. I tried to do a scale, and it doesn't really work. I'm sorry. Last year we had 2 hours downtime, and that might not actually have been anyone's fault apart from our fault as well, because we do some weird and wonderful things with advertising. And we had 12.2 million page views, and the server response time's up to 43.43 of a second, which actually, considering what we do with advertising on the website and redirects and things like that, it's actually quite good, I think. So, also, it's worth mentioning, that slide there comes from the May 25 general election at 1 a.m. in the morning. And for some weird reason, we had 850 people looking at our website at that time. I think they were looking at election results, I guess. But yeah, we've had no problems with spikes and concurrent users and things like that. So, the advantages of hosting. From the Wandsworth perspective, there's no real thing to say here anymore. It's a stable platform, and it gives the residents access to online services. In terms of business continuity, I sort of don't see why you wouldn't host your CMS now. It seems to be a no-brainer to me in terms of business continuity. Again, the security side of it, the system, we know our servers are patched frequently. We're soon to move on to Continuum, hopefully in the next month or two. So our security is going to be better. And also, as people see, there's Dave here as well, I know it's easier to support our system when he doesn't have to log in via SSL VPN to our network. We did have some interesting conversations for quite a while about trying to get in and onto our own internal network. Another thing is that it's actually really consistent now for web editors to use. One of the most stressful things I find for our web editors is if the system's not there. They really well, they can't edit the system. They get really stressed really quickly. But it's one of those things. They really struggle when the system's not there or it's unavailable. So having it up all the time is really easy, makes my job a lot easier. Also, it's one of the things now that the team can focus on things that are important, like working on user journeys, working on the customer improvement, working on the website improvement, not the critical stuff like, oh my God, finding a hack to keep a server up. That's not a really good way for a web team to be working. So, but there are some considerations that people should make. There's less scope for internal or bespoke development. It took a wee while for us to negotiate with Jadu how we would actually do things. We came with baggage. We came with us fiddling with stuff, changing stuff, building stuff. Once we worked out how we could actually accommodate some of the changes we'd made, things went quite well. And again, we have SFTP and SSL VPN to do our improvements. But when it comes to upgrades, things like that, or changes, we're on our own for supporting those, and we're fine with that. And it's understandable that we support our part of it, but we don't touch the rest of the the core CMS, and that's fine. So yes, as I say there, it's a controlled environment. Now, on to the second part. I've done 10 minutes. Is everyone still fine? Okay. So having a stable environment's helped us actually start building interesting things in Jadu, such as having residents check their school places online. Here's the problem this is a typical problem. Wandsworth, like a lot of places, faces high demand for its schools. With an increasing population, schools are oversubscribed, and this is, a really emotional thing for kids and their parents, finding out when they can go to a school, and are they on a school waiting list. Again, for the school's admission service, following the announcements of primary and secondary school places, they get a huge rise in inquiries, lots of face-to-face, telephone, email, to answer which is a pretty straightforward question. Where's my child on the school waiting list? When was the waiting list updated? With Jadu, we can actually answer that pretty successfully online now. So, this is how it works. First of all, the resident applies for a place at a school online with there's a Pan-London school admission system. So all children and families apply for a place using that system. After that, a decision letter or an email is sent to the parent or guardian, and on that letter or email there's a reference number. During this time, the service then runs a waiting list, and this report this is from the school admission system. That report's downloaded in a CSV format, and it contains only a few pieces of information. And that report's run and uploaded weekly, and into a bulk upload into a Jadu directory. The service can do this all themselves as well. We've permitted the service to do this. This is quite straightforward stuff. Finally, the resident can check online as to the position on the waiting list. The system was built by a colleague of mine called Rob Salmon. That's Rob there. He's at a Jadu conference, academy last year. So the user journey for the resident, via their letter or via the website, they go to wandsworth.gov.uk/admissions. The red box here is what they would find on the school admissions page. So last week it was secondary school admissions came out. I've used the number there, which is 133511. Clicking that, that's what the user returns. That's what's returned to the user, I should say. Basically, that user there, they're waiting on 2 places, and we can see there that it was updated on the 1st of March, which last week was secondary school admissions. So, for the council, that's a really simple system to build. It's really small bespoke development built by Rob, and I really like these sort of applications. We're not trying to plug into big heavy systems like Civica or Capita or anything like that anymore. We're just building something that's lightweight and flexible, and what we've found is that it's not a major disruption to the service as well. They're happy. They were producing these lists anyway, and they were just telling people over the phone or sending people an email or telling them when they came in. So to put this online, and the system already produces a CSV file, it wasn't a big leap for them. And importantly, also the system's secure. There's no identifiable information held about the student, the resident, or anyone involved. You can't associate. There's no personal information like names, things like that. There's only an ID number and their position on the list. So it's not useful to anyone else. And again, this one here, this ticks quite a nice channel shift box for us as well, because it was quick and really easy to do. We do some analysis on channel shift, and apparently our school admissions service was taking about 16,000 phone calls regarding school admissions in a year. So hopefully we're putting a dent in those numbers. And again, most importantly, for the resident, they get an answer quickly, and there's a high level of satisfaction with the system. This is what we use for looking at. This is, if anyone knows this is Site Improve. It's really nice, really good system for measuring feedback. And what this slide here shows is that in context, we're getting about 34,000 page views over the past year, and it's rated really highly by our residents with about 29, 31, 40 odd ratings there, and around about 5 out of 5. So, that's it from me. Finished in 15 minutes. I'll whip through that really quickly. Okay, thanks. We'll let people have their lunch. Thank you.